Yaron Lashinsky was an Israeli citizen, a dedicated research assistant. He possessed a keen intellect, his mind brimming with ideas and potential. Sarah Milgram, an American, channeled her passion into organizing visits and missions to Israel. She was a builder of bridges, fostering connections between people and cultures. They were a young couple, their lives deeply intertwined, bound by love and shared aspirations. A future filled with promise, with joy, with adventure, lay spread out before them. That future was tragically, cruelly, and senselessly stolen from them on a May evening. Their story is a stark reminder of how fragile life can be. Their love story was on the cusp of a beautiful, new chapter. Yaron had, just that week, purchased an engagement ring. This small, precious object was a testament to his love, a symbol of his commitment to Sarah. He had planned to propose to her the following week, a moment they would cherish forever. The chosen setting was Jerusalem, a city laden with history and profound meaning for them both. They dreamed of a life built together, a partnership founded on mutual respect and deep affection. These were not vague hopes, they were tangible plans, moments away from becoming cherished memories. Now that ring is a heartbreaking emblem of a future that will never unfold. On the evening of Wednesday, May 21, 2025, Yaron and Sarah attended an event. It was the American Jewish Committee's annual Young Diplomats reception. The gathering was held at the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. This museum stands as a space dedicated to celebrating culture, preserving history, and fostering community. Yaron and Sarah were there as engaged participants, connecting with other young professionals. The reception itself aimed to promote dialogue and understanding. As they were leaving this very event, looking forward to the rest of their evening, their lives were brutally cut short. Terror waited for them, just outside the museum's doors, a grim counterpoint to the institution's mission. The news of their untimely deaths sent immediate shockwaves through their communities and beyond. Two vibrant, promising lives were extinguished in their prime, a devastating loss. Their potential contributions to the world, their unique talents, their capacity for love and kindness, all gone. The world is undeniably poorer for their absence. This was not merely another headline in a cycle of troubling news. For those who knew them, and for many who only learned of them through this tragedy, the loss felt deeply personal, a profound wound. The sheer suddenness of the attack only amplifies the horror. One moment they were alive, full of hopes and dreams. The next, they were victims of an appalling act of violence. The evening of May 21st began with an air of normalcy in the heart of Washington, D.C. Yet, a dark shadow was silently creeping towards the Capitol Jewish Museum. Elias Rodriguez, a 31-year-old man from Chicago, was present near the museum. Authorities would later identify him as the perpetrator of the horrific attack. According to police reports, he was observed pacing erratically outside the museum before the shooting. His agitated demeanor, in retrospect, might have been a chilling precursor to the violence he was about to unleash. He waited, an unseen menace amidst the city's usual rhythm, the peace of the evening soon to be irrevocably shattered. The attack itself was appallingly swift, brutal, and horrifyingly direct. Rodriguez reportedly approached a small group of 4 individuals. Among them were Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram, who were simply exiting the museum after the reception. Without any warning, without any provocation, Rodriguez opened fire. The calm of the evening was instantly shattered, replaced by screams, chaos, and unimaginable fear. Lives were forever altered in those few terrifying seconds. The bullets tragically found their marks, striking Yaron and Sarah. Their vibrant futures, filled with such promise, were extinguished on a Washington, D.C. sidewalk, a place of supposed safety and civility. Following the shooting, Rodriguez did not attempt an immediate escape. Instead, he walked directly into the Capitol Jewish Museum. Alert event security personnel quickly moved to intercept and detain him. It was during his apprehension that his hateful motivations began to surface more clearly. As security restrained him, he started to chant loudly and repeatedly, "Free, free Palestine!" he yelled, his voice filled with venom, according to police statements. This chilling declaration was corroborated by witnesses at the scene, including Yoni Kalin. Kalin further noted that the suspect dramatically pulled out a red keffiyeh during his outburst, solidifying the ideological underpinnings of his violent act. Those inside the museum attending the diplomatic reception experienced moments of sheer terror and confusion. Yoni Kalen and Katie Kalisher were among the attendees who heard the distinct, horrifying sounds of gunshots from outside. A wave of fear and panic quickly rippled through the gathered crowd. Kalen later recounted the chaotic scene as police officers arrived, and the suspects' defiant shouts of "Free Palestine" pierced the air. With a heavy heart, Kalen also pointed out the profound and tragic irony of the situation. The event Rodriguez targeted was, in fact, focused on discussing humanitarian aid efforts, aid intended for people in both Gaza and Israel, a mission of peace and reconciliation. This terrible act of violence in Washington, D.C. did not emerge from a void. It unfolded against a backdrop of intensely heightened global tensions and escalating friction. The ongoing devastating conflict between Israel and Gaza serves as a significant catalyst for much of this global unrest. The current war began following Hamas's brutal and unprecedented attack on October 7, 2023. That assault resulted in the deaths of 1,200 people in Israel, and the abduction of around 250 individuals as hostages. Israel's subsequent large-scale military offensive in the Gaza Strip has led to catastrophic humanitarian consequences. Local health authorities in Gaza report that more than 53,000 Palestinians, predominantly women and children, have been killed. This conflict casts a long, dark shadow, reverberating across continents and tragically fueling anger, division, and, in too many instances, outright hate. The killings of Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram drew swift and strong condemnation from prominent leaders both in the United States and internationally. President Donald Trump took to social media early on Thursday, May 22, to address the tragedy. He unequivocally described the DC killings as horrible. He further asserted that they were based obviously on anti-Semitism. In his post, President Trump declared, "Hatred and radicalism have no place in the USA." Across the Atlantic, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also issued a response. His office conveyed his profound shock and dismay, stating, "We are witnessing the terrible price of anti-Semitism and wild incitement against Israel." These powerful statements underscored the perceived motivations behind the attack and highlighted its grave implications. Federal and local authorities are treating this incident with the utmost seriousness it demands. Dan Bongino, the deputy director of the FBI, provided early public insights into the investigation. He posted on social media that early indicators are that this is an act of targeted violence. This assessment suggests a premeditated attack rather than a random act of violence. The prosecution of the case will be handled by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C., which is currently led by former Judge Jeanine Pirro. The gravity of the situation was further emphasized by the presence of Attorney General Pam Bondi at the crime scene in the hours following the shooting. In response, Israeli diplomatic missions around the world were instructed to elevate their security measures and to lower their flags to half-staff, a somber acknowledgement of the specific and ongoing threat. This attack serves as a chilling and painful illustration of an increasingly disturbing global trend. Anti-Semitic incidents and acts of hate are undeniably on the rise in many parts of the world. Jewish communities in numerous countries report feeling increasingly vulnerable and targeted. It is a sad reality that Israeli diplomats and citizens abroad have historically been, and continue to be, targets for violence. The Capital Jewish Museum itself was acutely aware of the potential risks it faced. In fact, just the week prior to the shooting, the museum had been awarded funding through a $500,000 grant program specifically designed to help enhance its security infrastructure. The grant application had cited concerns related to its identity as a Jewish organization and, significantly, its new LGBTQ exhibit, highlighting the multifaceted nature of hate that such institutions can face. The news of Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram's violent deaths brought an unbearable weight of grief to all who knew them. For their families, their friends, and their colleagues, the loss is a raw, gaping wound, a sudden emptiness that words can scarcely describe. Yechiel Leiter, the Israeli ambassador to the U.S., shared a particularly heartbreaking detail that underscored the depth of the tragedy. He spoke of Yaron's recent purchase of an engagement ring and his plans to propose to Sarah in Jerusalem the following week. That ring, once a symbol of immense love and future happiness, now stands as a poignant testament to shattered dreams and a life together that will never be. This intimate detail makes their loss even more profoundly personal and devastating. The broader Jewish community, both in Washington, D.C. and far beyond, felt this attack as a deeply personal blow. It was not just an assault on two individuals, but an attack on their collective sense of safety, security, and belonging. Ted Deutsch, the CEO of the American Jewish Committee, which had hosted the event Yaron and Sarah attended, voiced this widespread sentiment. "This is a shocking act of violence," Deutsch stated in the aftermath. He added a note of communal solidarity. "Our community is holding each other tighter tonight." His words reflected both the profound horror of the event and the enduring resilience of the community in the face of adversity. The Capital Jewish Museum also issued a statement, expressing that its staff and board were deeply saddened and horrified by the senseless violence outside the museum. The story of Yaron and Sarah is, at its heart, a story of love, tragically and brutally interrupted. Their strong bond, their carefully laid plans, their bright and promising future, all were malevolently erased in an instant by an act of pure hatred. This devastating loss compels us to confront difficult and uncomfortable truths about the world we live in. The destructive and insidious power of extremism in all its forms is undeniable. It is a stark reminder of the terrifying ease with which ideology can be twisted and perverted to justify unspeakable acts of violence against innocent people. We mourn not just two individuals, but the immense potential they represented, a potential for connection, for understanding, for building a better, more peaceful world. In the face of such profound darkness and senseless loss, despair can seem like an almost inevitable response. However, we must consciously choose a different path, a path of resilience and determination. This tragedy must serve to strengthen our collective resolve to champion peace, to foster understanding, and to combat anti-Semitism and all forms of hatred and targeted violence with unwavering commitment. There can be no justification, no rationalization for such heinous acts. Dialogue, education, and empathy are our most potent tools in this ongoing struggle. We owe it to the memory of Yaron Lashinsky, to Sarah Milgram, and to all innocent victims of hate, to strive relentlessly to build a world where differences are celebrated, not feared, and where love, ultimately, triumphs over hate.
I hope you found this video useful. Follow me right here on YouTube for more great content daily. Download my international best-selling book, Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone, for absolutely free at growfast.club. I say again, download my book at growfast.club for all of my 7-figure growth hacks. Get your copy now while it's still free.
There it is. Magnum. Holy moly.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Dear God. It's beautiful.